My name is Pauline Blanchette, and I've created this podcast, Speak Up, to help remove the stigma of mental health and to get young people speaking about mental health. What world do we live in when we have to grow up knowing people that are committing suicide?
We were thrust into mental health at quite an early age, when we were 14.
Yeah.
I don't think any 14-year-old should have to take responsibility for mental health. It's confusing.
Having somebody near you who committed suicide is devastating. It's a devastating thing to happen. It's terrible for the parents, but it's terrible for the friends.
Lots of people who suffer from mental health stuff, it's not just this, like I thought it would be for me, just as one period. No, it's basically constant.
It seems like, and it's funny because I don't know, I feel like when I was younger, especially, I kind of just ignored it, and then when we get older, the more you realise that, it's a bit of an epidemic.
Only in the last year, I've really been able to talk about it, just because I've never been ready to let go of it, and it's almost like I wanted to keep on to being ill because that just became my identity.
It's not like good kids and bad kids, there's much more to it than that.
And just being so upset about how little students are really talking about it with each other.
This podcast will explore issues such as men anxiety, eating disorders, social media, all things that young people are struggling with today.
You have to think of human beings in the context of the culture in which they live. We live in this westernised, modern day, highly technologically advanced sort of country.
Like social media and technology in general, it's I think it's a huge change, in society, and I think really it's, to some extent, we are still figuring it out, and we're still figuring out where we will get to and how much is too much.
And I have to say that young people are also not having the access that they should be to places which help, such as the Brent Centre.
Me trying to go through the uni services to try and get help for myself just proved to be such a difficult thing to do, and I was so shocked that this was the case.
I remember when I first got that first session, it was like it couldn't come, it was so essential, you know what I mean? Yeah. So then I used the Brent Centre for 2 years. I can just see in myself those two different people who came in and out.
It is really something that needs to be tackled right now, and the reason I'm doing this podcast is to really get an awareness out about what everyday struggles people are dealing with.
Yeah, it is all about outlets, it's all about expression.
And that's what this podcast is about. It's about getting everyone talking, not just young people. I want young people to be heard, but I also want everyone to be talking about this and realising that it should not be a taboo subject, should not be stigmatised.
So I do think a culture that is more open and more ready to not kind of have an idealised state which where everybody's getting on fine and we don't talk about the things that are worrying and troubling. I think that's not a good model at all. I think we've got to challenge that, and I think things like this, arrangements like this are challenging it.
Why don't we all speak up about mental health?